The salvaged ship Lucky Break drifted slowly through the asteroid field. Its worn metal hull reflected the dim light of a distant star. Inside the ship's bridge, Captain Tom Reed stared at the scanning screen with tired eyes. It had been 3 months since their last good find, and money was running out. "Anything yet, Maya?" Tom asked, looking over at his engineer. Maya shook her head, her fingers dancing over the control panel. "Nothing worth our time, Captain. Just rocks and more rocks." The crew of the Lucky Break was small, just Tom, Maya, and their security officer Ben. They had been together for 5 years, searching the forgotten corners of space for valuable scraps from the old war. The work was hard, but it paid well when they found something good. "Wait," Maya said suddenly, sitting up straight. "I'm getting a strange reading from Sector 7. It's big, really big." Tom moved to her station, looking over her shoulder. The scanner showed a massive shape hidden among the asteroids. It was at least 10 times bigger than their ship. "Could be a colony ship," Ben suggested, joining them at the scanner. Tom shook his head. No colony ships came this far out. This sector was a battle zone during the Vex War. The Vex War had ended 200 years ago. Earth and its colonies had fought against the alien Vex Dominion for nearly a decade. History books said humans had won through clever diplomacy and a few key battles. Now, humans lived under the rule of the Coalition, a government that kept the peace across all settled planets. "Let's check it out," Tom decided. "Ben, suit up. Maya, get us closer, but keep the engines quiet." The Lucky Break moved carefully through the asteroid field. As they got closer, the shape on their scanner became clearer. It wasn't a colony ship. It was something far more interesting. "That's a battleship," Ben whispered in awe. "A human battleship from the war." The ship was massive, its dark hull partially hidden inside a large asteroid. No lights shone from its windows, and no signals came from its communication arrays. It looked dead, a ghost from the past. "Can you identify it?" Tom asked. Maya typed quickly on her console, scanning the hull, matching with war records. "Got it." Her eyes widened. "Captain, it's the HSS Thunderchild." Even Tom, who didn't care much for history, knew that name. The Thunderchild was a legend, Earth's most powerful warship during the Vex War. It had disappeared during the final battle of the war, presumed destroyed with all hands. Finding it here, intact, was impossible. "Are you sure?" Tom asked. Maya nodded. "The hull markings match. This is definitely the Thunderchild." Tom felt his heart race. A find like this could set them up for life. Military collectors would pay fortunes just for pieces of the legendary ship. "Prep for boarding," he ordered. "Full suits, weapons cold. We don't know what's waiting for us in there." Maya looked worried. "Captain, I'm detecting some unusual energy readings from the ship. They're very faint, but they shouldn't be there at all if the ship is dead." Tom considered this. "Keep an eye on those readings. If they change, let me know immediately." An hour later, the 3 of them floated through space toward a large tear in the Thunderchild's hull. Their magnetic boots clicked as they landed on the outer plating of the massive warship. "This damage looks like weapon fire," Ben said, examining the tear. "But the edges are smooth, almost melted." They moved carefully inside. Their suit lights cut through the darkness, revealing a massive corridor. Unlike the outside, the inside of the ship looked almost untouched. No signs of battle damage, no floating debris, no bodies. "This doesn't make sense," Maya said, checking her scanner. "According to history, this ship was destroyed in battle, but it looks like the crew just left." They made their way deeper into the ship, passing through empty crew quarters and silent mess halls. Everything was in perfect order, as if the ship had been cleaned and prepared for inspection before being abandoned. "Let's find the bridge," Tom said. "If there's anything worth salvaging, the command systems will be it." Following the ship's layout from Maya's scanner, they eventually reached a massive door marked with the Coalition star symbol. The bridge. Doors sealed, Ben said, examining the control panel beside it. No power. Maya connected her suit's power pack to the panel. I can give it enough juice to open once. The door slid open with a groan of metal, revealing the bridge of the legendary Thunderchild. Unlike the rest of the ship, the bridge showed signs of battle. Consoles were damaged, and the main view screen was cracked. But still, no bodies. Check everything, Tom ordered. Look for ship logs, command codes, anything we can sell. As Tom moved toward the captain's chair, he noticed something strange on the armrest. A small panel glowing with a faint blue light. Maya, I thought you said the ship had no power, he called out. It shouldn't have, she replied, looking up from a console she was examining. The reactors are cold. Curious, Tom pressed the glowing panel. Suddenly, the bridge came to life around them. Lights flickered on, consoles lit up, and a soft hum filled the air as systems activated one by one. What did you do? Ben asked, raising his weapon instinctively. I don't know, Tom admitted. A deep voice interrupted him, coming from all around them. Emergency protocol activated. Threat assessment in progress. The three of them froze as a hologram appeared in the center of the bridge. A tall, transparent figure in a military uniform. Unauthorized personnel detected on the bridge of HFY Thunderchild, the hologram stated. Identify yourselves immediately or face defensive measures. We're salvagers, Tom said quickly. I'm Captain Tom Reed of the Lucky Break. This is my crew, Maya and Ben. The hologram seemed to study them. Salvagers. The Thunderchild is an active military vessel of Earth Fleet Command. Salvage operations are illegal and punishable by military law. Maya stepped forward. Earth Fleet Command doesn't exist anymore. The war ended 200 years ago. The hologram was silent for a moment. 200 years. My chronometers indicate. System error detected. It paused. I am Atlas, the Artificial Intelligence Command System of the HSS Thunderchild. What year is it by Earth standard? Tom told him the year. That is unexpected, Atlas said. My last active memory was during the Battle of Proxima. The Thunderchild sustained critical damage. I initiated emergency stasis protocols to prevent complete destruction. Stasis protocols? Maya asked. You mean like a time bubble? A simplified explanation, but accurate, Atlas replied. The ship and all aboard were placed in temporal stasis to prevent our destruction. The field was meant to last only days until rescue arrived. No rescue came, Tom said. History records that the Thunderchild was destroyed with all hands. Atlas processed this information. That is incorrect. The Thunderchild was not destroyed. And based on my internal sensors, the crew is still aboard. They remain in stasis, waiting to be awakened. Tom, Maya, and Ben looked at each other in shock. This wasn't just a salvage find anymore. This was a rescue mission. And one that would rewrite history. Captain Reed, Atlas said, I request your assistance. The Thunderchild must complete its mission. The war may have ended, but the secrets this ship carries were never meant to be lost. Before Tom could respond, Maya's scanner beeped loudly. Captain, we've got ships approaching, she said, checking the readings. Coalition markings. A lot of them. How did they find us so quickly? Ben asked. Atlas's hologram flickered. The activation of my systems would have triggered long-range monitoring devices. If the Coalition exists, as you say, they will want this ship. They cannot be allowed to have it. Tom looked around the bridge of the legendary battleship, then at the approaching Coalition ships. His simple salvage mission had just become much more complicated. Atlas, he said finally, what other systems can you activate on this ship? The hologram's face showed what might have been a smile. With your help, Captain Reed. All of them. Coalition ships will be here in 20 minutes, Maya said, her fingers flying over the console she had managed to activate. Tom looked at Atlas, the blue hologram of the ship's eye. Can you get us moving before they arrive? Atlas flickered. Main engines require more time to start. However, I can activate defense systems and limited maneuvering thrusters. Do it, Tom ordered. We need to hide deeper in the asteroid field. Ben checked his weapon. Captain, we should return to the Lucky Break. We can't fight coalition ships. Tom shook his head. If we leave now, we lose everything. The Thunderchild is worth more than we could earn in 10 lifetimes. It is not merely a matter of value. Atlas interrupted. This vessel carries classified technology and information. If your coalition is truly what remains of Earth's government, they must not be allowed to find it. Tom frowned. What do you mean? The coalition formed after the war to maintain peace. Atlas's hologram seemed to grow more solid as more systems came online. Perhaps that was their stated purpose. However, my records of the final days of the war differ significantly from what you describe as known history. A loud hum filled the bridge as more systems activated. Screens lit up around them, showing the ship's status and the surrounding space. Defensive systems online, Atlas announced, activating minimal life support and artificial gravity. Tom felt his feet settle to the floor as gravity returned. He removed his helmet, taking a cautious breath. The air was stale but breathable. Tell us what really happened, Maya said, also removing her helmet. Why is history wrong about the war? Atlas projected a star map in the center of the bridge. The official history states that humanity achieved victory through diplomacy after several key battles, correct? The three humans nodded. That is false, Atlas stated. Humanity was losing the war. The Vex had infiltrated our highest levels of government and military. They can alter their appearance to look human, and they had replaced many of our leaders. That's impossible, Ben argued. We would know if aliens were pretending to be human. Not necessarily, Atlas replied. The Thunderchild was created specifically to counter this threat. Our mission was to deploy a quantum resonance weapon that would reveal all Vex infiltrators by disrupting their disguise technology. A warning alarm sounded from Maya's console. Captain, the coalition ships have increased speed. They'll be here in 10 minutes. Tom made a quick decision. Atlas, can you wake up some of the crew? We need people who know how to run this ship. I cannot safely revive any crew yet, Atlas replied. The stasis systems are delicate after so much time. I need more power first. Then we work with what we have, Tom said. Maya, you're our best engineer. Can you help Atlas bring more systems online? Maya nodded, already studying the ship's schematics on her screen. Ben, secure the bridge and find us an escape route through the asteroids if we need to run. Ben moved to a tactical station, quickly learning the controls. And what will you do, Captain? Atlas asked. Tom sat in the captain's chair. I'm going to talk to the coalition ships when they arrive. Buy us some time. As Maya worked with Atlas to restore more of the ship's systems, Tom studied the approaching coalition vessels on the main screen. There were 5 of them, all bearing the familiar white and blue markings of peace enforcement ships. They're hailing us, Ben reported after a few minutes. Tom took a deep breath. Put them through. The face of a stern woman in a coalition uniform appeared on the screen. Unidentified vessel. This is Commander Laura Hill of the Coalition Security Force. You are trespassing in restricted space. Identify yourselves immediately. Tom put on his most charming smile. Commander Hill, I'm Captain Tom Reed of the salvage vessel Lucky Break. We're just doing routine salvage work. Commander Hill's expression didn't change. Our scans indicate you have discovered a military vessel. All military salvage belongs to the Coalition by law. Prepare to be boarded. Now hold on, Tom said, trying to keep his voice casual. We found this ship fair and square. Salvage rights do not apply to military vessels, Hill interrupted. You will power down all systems and prepare for boarding. Any resistance will be met with force. The transmission cut off. They're not here for standard salvage claims, Maya said quietly. They knew exactly what this ship was. They were looking for it. Atlas's hologram nodded. If the Vex still control your government, they would have been searching for the Thunderchild for centuries. They fear what this ship can do. 5 minutes until they're in boarding range, Ben reported. We need to decide now. Tom stood up from the captain's chair. Atlas, what offensive capabilities do we have? Limited point defense systems are operational, Atlas replied. Enough to deter boarding parties, but not enough to engage their ships directly. That's all we need, Tom said. Maya, how are the engines coming? Maya looked up from her work. I've managed to get emergency power to the main drive. We won't be fast, but we can move. Tom smiled. Perfect. Here's the plan. When they get close enough to board, we activate point defenses just enough to keep them back. Then we use the asteroids for cover and run. Where to? Ben asked. Deeper into the asteroid field, Tom said. We need time to get this ship fully operational. Atlas's hologram studied Tom. You are choosing to help us, Captain Reed. May I ask why? Your salvage mission is clearly compromised. Tom looked around the bridge of the legendary battleship. Let's just say I've never trusted the Coalition much. If what you're saying is true, this ship might be humanity's only hope. The ship shuddered as the thrusters fired, moving the massive vessel away from its hiding place. Coalition ships are changing course to intercept, Ben warned. They're charging weapons. Point defenses online, Atlas announced. I am detecting targeting scans from their vessels. They're not planning to board, Maya said in shock. They're going to destroy us. The first energy blast from the lead Coalition ship struck the Thunderchild's hull, causing the lights to flicker. Shields at 15% capacity. Atlas reported. Another direct hit will breach the hull. Tom gripped the arms of the captain's chair. Return fire, just enough to buy us time. Maya, we need those engines now. Maya worked frantically at her station. Almost there. Just need to bypass the safety protocols. Another blast rocked the ship. Warning alarms blared across the bridge. Hull breach on Deck 3, Atlas announced. Emergency containment active. Why are they so determined to destroy the ship? Ben asked, firing the point defense weapons at the approaching Coalition vessels. Atlas's hologram turned to Tom. Because they know what we know. The war never ended, Captain Reed. The Vex didn't lose. They simply changed tactics. And the Thunderchild is the only weapon that can expose them. Engines online. Maya shouted triumphantly. Full power, Tom ordered. Get us out of here. The ancient battleship's engines roared to life, pushing the massive vessel forward. The Coalition ships fired again, but the Thunderchild was already moving into the dense asteroid field where the larger, newer ships couldn't follow easily. As they escaped deeper into the field, Tom turned to Atlas. I need the whole truth now. What exactly is this ship capable of, and how do we use it to fight back? The hologram's expression was grim but determined. The Thunderchild isn't just a battleship, Captain Reed. It's the most advanced weapons platform ever created by humans. And now that you've awakened it, the real war can finally begin. The Thunderchild drifted silently in the shadow of a massive asteroid. 3 days had passed since their escape from the Coalition ships. Tom stood on the bridge, watching as Maya and Atlas worked to bring more systems online. How's it coming? Tom asked, approaching Maya's workstation. She looked up with tired eyes but smiled. Better than expected. Atlas is an amazing teacher. I've learned more about ship systems in 3 days than in 5 years of salvage work. Atlas's hologram appeared beside them. Maya is being modest. Her understanding of our technology is impressive for someone from your time. Then entered the bridge carrying food packets from their salvage ship. Supplies are running low. We have maybe 2 more days before we need to find a station. Tom nodded. Any sign of the Coalition ships? They're still searching the outer edges of the asteroid field, Ben reported. But they've called for reinforcements. We can't hide here forever. Atlas projected a star map in the center of the bridge. I've been analyzing your current star charts. There is a location we might find allies. The map zoomed in on a small moon orbiting a gas giant. The moon was marked as Mining Outpost K-12 in Coalition records. That's a prison colony, Ben said with a frown. The Coalition sends political prisoners there to mine rare minerals. Precisely, Atlas replied. If there are humans fighting against Vex influence, some would be labeled as political dissidents. Tom studied the map. It's risky. The outpost will have Coalition guards. But if we could free the prisoners, Maya suggested, we'd have more crew for the ship, and possibly allies who know the current situation better than we do. Before Tom could respond, an alarm sounded from Ben's console. Proximity alert, Ben called out. Small ship approaching fast. Tom tensed. Coalition scout. Ben shook his head. Different signature. Looks like a cargo hauler. It's damage. On screen, Tom ordered. The main view screen showed a small battered cargo ship limping through the asteroid field. Scorch marks covered its hull, and one of its engines was clearly malfunctioning. They're being pursued, Ben reported. 2 Coalition interceptors, gaining quickly. Tom made a quick decision. Atlas, do we have weapons that can target the interceptors without destroying them? Yes, Captain. Ion pulse cannons are operational at 60% capacity. Target the interceptor's engines only, Tom ordered. Fire when ready. The Thunderchild hummed as energy built up in its weapon systems. 2 bright blue pulses shot from the ship, striking each interceptor precisely. The Coalition ships went dark, drifting helplessly. The cargo ship is hailing us, Maya reported. Put them through, Tom said. A woman's face appeared on the screen. She had short gray hair and a scar across her left cheek. Her eyes widened when she saw the bridge of the Thunderchild. By the stars, she whispered. The rumors are true. This is Captain Tom Reed. Tom introduced himself. Who are you? Commander Diane Walker, Resistance Fleet, she replied. Or what's left of it? Tom exchanged looks with Maya and Ben. There's a resistance. Walker nodded grimly. For decades, fighting the Vex infiltration of the Coalition. Most people think we're terrorists or criminals. She studied Tom carefully. You're not military. How did you get control of the Thunderchild? It's a long story, Tom replied. Your ship is damaged. Can you dock with us? Walker hesitated, then nodded. We'll follow your lead. An hour later, Commander Walker stood on the bridge of the Thunderchild with her small crew of 5. They were all battle-worn, with makeshift uniforms and well-used weapons. We've been fighting the Coalition for 15 years, Walker explained after hearing Tom's story. We know the truth about the Vex, but no one believes us. We've never had enough proof or power to make a difference. Atlas's hologram studied the Resistance fighters. How much do you know about Vex infiltration? We know they can look human, Walker replied. They've replaced high-ranking officials in the Coalition. We've learned to identify some of them by behavior patterns, but it's never enough proof to convince the public. The Thunderchild was designed to expose them, Atlas explained. Our quantum resonance cannon can disrupt their disguise technology, revealing their true forms. Hope flashed in Walker's eyes. That would change everything. If people could see the truth. The cannon isn't operational yet, Maya interjected. We're still working on restoring full power to the ship. Walker turned to Tom. Captain Reed, my people have been fighting this war in the shadows for years. Now you have the key to winning it. Will you help us? Tom looked around at his small crew, then at Atlas and the Resistance fighters. This was no longer about salvage or profit. It was about humanity's future. We'll help, he decided, but we need more people to run this ship properly. Atlas says the crew is still in stasis, but waking them would be dangerous right now. Walker nodded. I know where we can find more help. The mining outpost on K-12 is full of Resistance sympathizers. The Coalition sends anyone who speaks against them there. Including your brother, one of Walker's crew added. Walker's face hardened. Yes. My brother James was a coalition officer until he discovered the truth. They arrested him 3 months ago. Tom thought for a moment. How heavily guarded is K-12? Very, Walker replied. But I know the patrol schedules and security systems. And with the Thunderchild's technology, Atlas added, we could break through their defenses. Tom nodded slowly. Then that's our next move. We free the prisoners on K-12, gather a crew, and then figure out how to expose the Vex to the rest of humanity. Maya spoke up. But what about the original crew? Shouldn't we try to wake them? Atlas's hologram flickered. I have been monitoring the stasis pods. The technology has degraded over time. Reviving the crew would require significant power and resources we do not currently have. So they stay asleep until we can safely wake them, Tom decided. Ben, who had been quiet, finally spoke. Captain, this isn't the salvage mission we signed up for. This is war. Tom met his gaze. You're right, Ben. This is bigger than all of us. I won't force you to stay if you want to take the lucky break and go. Ben shook his head. Where would I go? If what they're saying is true, nowhere is safe. I'm staying. Maya nodded her agreement. Me too. Someone needs to keep this ancient bucket of bolts running. Atlas made a sound that might have been a chuckle. The Thunderchild may be old by your standards, but I assure you, it is still the most advanced human warship ever created. Walker stepped forward and extended her hand to Tom. Then we have an alliance, Captain Reed. The Resistance and the Thunderchild, together. Tom shook her hand. Together. As they began planning their assault on the mining colony, Tom looked out at the stars through the view screen. Somewhere out there, the Vex were continuing their silent takeover of humanity. And now, for the first time in 200 years, they had something to fear. The Thunderchild was awake. And soon, the stars would blaze with the fire of humanity's fight for freedom. The gas giant planet hung like a massive blue jewel in space. Its small gray moon, K-12, orbited silently below. From the bridge of the Thunderchild, Tom and Commander Walker watched as they approached. That's our target, Walker said, pointing to a cluster of buildings on the moon's surface. The main prison complex. 300 prisoners, 50 guards. Tom nodded. And your brother? Block C, if our intelligence is correct, Walker replied. Her face was tight with worry. We haven't heard from him in weeks. Atlas appeared beside them. I have analyzed the facility's security systems. They are advanced, but nothing the Thunderchild cannot handle. Maya looked up from her console. The ship's cloaking system is working at 80% capacity. It won't fool their sensors completely, but it should buy us enough time to get into position. The plan was simple but dangerous. The Thunderchild would approach under cloak. Walker and a team would land near the prison in a small shuttle. Tom, Ben, and half of Walker's crew would create a distraction at the main gate, while Walker's team entered through a maintenance tunnel to reach the prisoner blocks. We're in position, Ben announced from the tactical station. No alarm from the surface yet. Tom turned to Walker. Ready? She nodded, checking her weapon. Remember, we need to be quick. Once they realize what's happening, they'll call for reinforcements. The Thunderchild will provide cover, Tom assured her. Atlas will jam their communications as long as possible. Good luck, Maya said as they headed for the shuttle bay. 20 minutes later, their shuttle touched down a mile from the prison complex. The dark, rocky surface of K-12 stretched out around them. The air was thin but breathable, with a constant cold wind. Move out, Walker ordered as they exited the shuttle. Stay low and watch for patrols. Tom followed Walker across the rocky ground, his heart pounding. This was nothing like salvage work. This was a military operation against the government that controlled all of human space. They'd reached the outer fence without incident. Ben quickly cut through it with a laser tool, and they slipped inside. Walker's team should be entering the maintenance tunnel now. Tom whispered to Ben, "Let's get their attention." Ben grinned and pulled out a small device. One distraction coming up. He attached the device to a power relay near the main gate and pressed a button. Seconds later, alarms blared as the power flickered across the complex. That should keep them busy, Ben said. Guards ran toward the main gate, shouting orders. Tom, Ben, and their team moved quickly along the side of the building, taking out security cameras as they went. Meanwhile, Walker and her team had entered the maintenance tunnel and were making their way toward Block C. Status. Tom asked into his communicator. Almost at Block C, Walker's voice crackled back. Minimal resistance so far. Your distraction is working. Tom and Ben reached a side entrance. The door was locked, but Ben made quick work of it with his tools. We're in, Tom reported, moving to secure the control room. Inside, the prison corridors were stark and cold. They moved carefully, stunning the few guards they encountered with weapons set to non-lethal force. Control room ahead, Ben whispered, pointing to a doorway guarded by 2 officers. Tom nodded to their team. 2 of Walker's crew moved forward silently and took down the guards before they could raise an alarm. Clear, one of them called softly. They entered the control room. 3 technicians looked up in surprise, reaching for alarm buttons. Don't, Tom warned, aiming his weapon. Hands where we can see them. Ben quickly moved to the main console. I've got access to the security systems, disabling locks on all cell blocks. Walker, we've secured the control room, Tom reported. Cell doors will open in 3, 2, 1. Throughout the prison, cell doors slid open with a hiss. Confused prisoners stepped out into the corridors, looking around uncertainly. Attention all prisoners, Tom announced over the intercom. This is a liberation operation. If you want freedom, head to the main yard. If you want to stay, return to your cells. In Block C, Walker had found her brother James. He was thin and pale, but his eyes lit up when he saw her. Diane? He whispered in disbelief. How did you? No time to explain. She cut him off, helping him to his feet. Can you walk? He nodded. I'm fine, but there's something you need to know. Something I discovered before they arrested me. Tell me later, Walker said. We need to move now. In the control room, Ben was watching the security feeds. We've got a problem. Guards are regrouping at the armory, and I'm picking up transmissions. They got a distress call out before we jammed communications. Tom's communicator crackled. Captain Reed, this is Atlas. Coalition ships have entered the system. Estimated time to arrival, 15 minutes. Tom made a quick decision. Ben, open all external doors. Walker, get everyone to the main yard. Maya, bring the Thunderchild in for evacuation. Across the prison, hundreds of confused but hopeful prisoners made their way to the main yard. Many had been there for years, imprisoned for speaking out against the coalition or simply asking the wrong questions. Tom and his team secured the path to the yard, keeping the guards at bay. When they reached the open area, they found Walker and James already organizing the prisoners. Coalition ships are on their way, Tom told Walker. We need to hurry. The sky rumbled as the massive form of the Thunderchild appeared overhead, its cloaking system deactivated. A collective gasp went up from the prisoners. Is that? James asked in awe. Walker nodded. The Thunderchild. It's real, and it's on our side. Large shuttlecraft descended from the battleship, landing in the yard. Maya's voice came over the communicator. All shuttles ready for evacuation. We can take everyone, but we need to hurry. As the prisoners boarded the shuttles, James pulled Walker and Tom aside. Listen to me, he said urgently. Before they arrested me, I found proof of what the Vex are doing. They're not just infiltrating our government. They're using humans as power sources. Tom stared at him. What do you mean? The energy austerity measures, the power rationing. It's all a lie, James explained. The Vex need massive amounts of energy for their technology. They've built facilities where they keep humans in stasis, draining their life energy slowly. Walker's face paled. That's why they've been disappearing people for years. Anyone who gets too close to the truth. A warning siren cut through the air. Ben ran up to them, pointing to the sky. Coalition ships entering the atmosphere. Everyone on the shuttles now, Tom ordered. As they boarded the last shuttle, Tom looked back at the prison. Hundreds of people were escaping. People who knew the truth about the coalition. It wasn't just a rescue mission anymore. It was the beginning of an army. The shuttle lifted off as coalition ships opened fire on the yard. The Thunderchild's shields extended, absorbing the blasts. All shuttles secure, Maya reported as they docked with the battleship. Everyone's aboard. On the bridge, Tom watched as the Thunderchild rose into space, coalition ships in pursuit. Now what? Ben asked, looking at the hundreds of former prisoners filling the ship's corridors. Atlas appeared, his hologram more defined than before. Now we fight back. With this many humans aware of the truth, and with the Thunderchild's technology, we can begin to expose the Vex across human space. Tom looked at Walker, who stood with her arm around her brother. James knows where one of their power facilities is, Walker said. If we could free those people and capture the facility, Atlas added, we could use it to fully power the quantum resonance cannon. Tom nodded, understanding. Then we have our next target. He turned to the helm. Prepare for jump to hyperspace. The real war starts now. As the Thunderchild left the K-12 system, carrying hundreds of new allies, Tom felt a strange mix of fear and hope. They were no longer running. They were fighting back. And the stars would soon blaze with their defiance. The Thunderchild hung in space near Saturn, hidden behind one of its smaller moons. On the bridge, Tom looked at the holographic display showing their target. A massive space station orbiting Earth. That's the Vex power facility. Tom asked, studying the structure. James nodded. Disguised as coalition headquarters. The upper levels are normal government offices, but the lower levels. He shuddered. That's where they keep the humans. Thousands of them. All in stasis pods, their life energy being drained. 2 weeks had passed since the prison break at K-12. The Thunderchild was now fully operational, its systems restored by the skilled engineers among the freed prisoners. The ship hummed with activity, its corridors filled with people united by a common purpose, to expose the Vex and free humanity. The quantum resonance cannon is ready, Maya reported from her station. All systems at 95% capacity. Atlas appeared beside Tom. Captain, I must inform you that we face a significant challenge. Earth is heavily defended. The Coalition, or rather, the Vex, have their strongest fleet protecting the headquarters. Walker approached, studying the display. How many ships? 27 warships, Atlas replied, plus defense platforms in orbit. Ben whistled softly. Even with the Thunderchild at full power, those are bad odds. Tom was quiet for a moment, thinking, we don't need to defeat their entire fleet. We just need to get close enough to use the quantum resonance cannon on the station. Once people see the Vex for what they really are, we'll have allies, Walker finished. But how do we get close enough? I think I know, James said. During my time as a coalition officer, I learned about a weakness in their defense grid. There's a maintenance channel, a corridor through their sensor network used for supply ships. They'll have that heavily guarded, Ben pointed out. James nodded. Yes, but not as heavily as a direct approach. If we time it right, we could slip through. Atlas's hologram flickered. I have another suggestion. The Thunderchild carries a number of smaller craft in its auxiliary bay. If we launch a coordinated attack from multiple vectors, we could create enough confusion to slip through their defenses. Tom looked around at his crew, no longer just Maya and Ben, but hundreds of determined faces. It's risky. We'll likely lose ships, lose people. We've all lost enough to the Vex already, Walker said firmly. Everyone here knows the stakes. We're willing to take the risk. Tom nodded, his decision made. All right, we'll approach through the maintenance corridor. Atlas, prepare the smaller craft for launch. Walker, organize attack teams. Maya, make sure the quantum resonance cannon is ready to fire the moment we're in range. As the crew moved to their stations, James stopped Tom. There's something else you should know. My sources in the Coalition told me that the Vex Overseer is on the station. The Overseer? Tom asked. Their leader, James explained. The one who has been directing the infiltration for centuries. If we can expose the Overseer. We expose them all, Tom finished. Thank you, James. This information might just save us. Hours later, the Thunderchild moved silently toward Earth, its advanced stealth systems making it nearly invisible to sensors. As they approached the maintenance corridor, tension filled the bridge. Coalition patrols ahead, Ben warned from tactical. 2 cruisers. Hold position, Tom ordered. Launch the strike teams. From the Thunderchild's bays, dozens of small craft sped toward different parts of Earth's defense grid. Each carried a team of fighters ready to create as much chaos as possible. Strike teams engaging, Ben reported. Coalition ships are responding. On screens around the bridge, they watched as explosions flared across Earth's orbit. The Coalition fleet moved to counter the small attacks, pulling ships away from the maintenance corridor. Now, Tom ordered, full speed ahead. The Thunderchild surged forward, its massive engines propelling it toward Earth. The remaining Coalition ships turned to intercept, but they were too late. The legendary battleship broke through the defense grid, heading straight for the station. We're in weapons range, Maya called out. Quantum resonance cannon charged and ready. Coalition headquarters is hailing us, Ben reported. Put them through, Tom said. The screen showed a human face, a woman in a Coalition admiral's uniform. Unidentified vessel, you are ordered to stand down immediately or be destroyed. Tom stood from the captain's chair. This is Captain Tom Reed of the HSS Thunderchild. We know the truth about the Coalition. We know about the Vex. The Admiral's expression didn't change. You are clearly delusional. Power down your weapons, or we will open fire. Tom looked at Atlas, who nodded. You're not human, Tom said to the Admiral. And we can prove it. Fire the cannon. Maya pressed the controls. The Thunderchild shuddered as the quantum resonance cannon fired, sending an invisible wave of energy toward the station. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the Admiral on screen began to change. Her skin shifted, revealing a gray, alien form beneath. Her eyes widened in horror as she realized what was happening. All across the station, the same transformation was occurring. Humans who were actually Vex were revealed in their true forms. Broadcasting on all channels, Ben announced. Everyone in Earth orbit can see this. The Vex Admiral hissed in anger. You have no idea what you've done. This changes nothing. We still control your world. No, Tom replied. You don't. Not anymore. Suddenly, the station's weapons activated, firing on the Thunderchild. The battleship rocked from the impact. Shields at 60%, Maya reported. They're throwing everything at us. More Coalition ships moved to attack, but something unexpected happened. Other Coalition vessels began firing on them. We're getting communications from Coalition ships, Ben said in surprise. Their human crews have seen the truth. They're fighting back against the Vex-controlled vessels. The bridge erupted in cheers, but their celebration was short-lived. New contact, Atlas announced urgently. Massive energy signature emerging from the station. A giant ship, unlike any they had seen before, detached from the station. Its design was clearly alien, with strange angles and pulsing lights. The Vex flagship, James said in awe. That must be where the Overseer is. The alien vessel fired at the Thunderchild, the blast far more powerful than anything they had faced before. The battleship shuddered violently. Direct hit, Maya called out. Shields failing. One more like that, and we're finished. Tom gripped the arms of the captain's chair. Target the Vex flagship with everything we've got. Focus all power on weapons. The Thunderchild fired its main guns, striking the Vex ship, but the alien vessel seemed barely damaged. "Captain," Atlas said, his voice grave, "I have a solution. The temporal stasis field that preserved the Thunderchild for 2 centuries, it could be modified to trap the Vex flagship. Would it work?" Tom asked. "Yes," Atlas replied, "but it would require all of our remaining power, including life support. Everyone would need to evacuate." Tom looked around at his crew, then at the Vex flagship preparing to fire again. "Do it," he ordered. "Everyone to the escape pods. Now." As the crew rushed to evacuate, Tom remained on the bridge with Atlas. "You should go too, Captain," Atlas said. Tom shook his head. "Someone needs to make sure this works. Get the field ready." Maya suddenly appeared at his side. "I'm staying too. You'll need an engineer." Before Tom could argue, Ben and Walker joined them. "We started this together," Ben said simply. Walker nodded. "We'll finish it together." The Vex flagship moved closer, its weapons charging for a final blow. "Temporal stasis field ready," Atlas announced. "Activating now." A bubble of blue energy expanded from the Thunderchild, engulfing both ships. Time began to slow within the field, freezing the moment. The last thing Tom saw was the shocked face of the Vex overseer on the view screen as both ships became locked in eternal stasis, a new star blazing in Earth's sky. Across the solar system, humans looked up and saw the truth. They saw the Vex for what they were, and they began to fight back. The war that had never truly ended was finally being fought in the open. And this time, humanity would win. In the years that followed, the frozen ships became a monument, a reminder of sacrifice and courage. Some said that one day, when humanity had truly won its freedom, the stasis field would dissolve and the heroes of the Thunderchild would return. Until then, the stars blazed with the fire of humanity's resistance, sparked by a forgotten battleship that had awakened just when it was needed most.